Get on to the happy station, it's Radio Hauraki.
Derek,
Oh, Jesus. Derek Sydney Reed Lowe. I remember having dinner at the El Matador one night, 1965, after having worked all day at the opening of Mangere International Airport. And we thought, we'd talked a long time about pirate radio and getting pissed off with BCNZ or NZBC. Let's do something about it.
Yes, you always said that well.
We did, but I recall we actually had a fairly late night that night. I mean, afterwards, after the meal.
Yep, went up to my flat, didn't we? With Jan. Talked till the early hours of the morning.
Decided on a name, where it was going to be, what we needed to do it.
Yep.
Then spent the next 3 or 4 weeks getting the details together.
Yep.
And then shock horror. One Easter weekend.
This guy gapes.
Yeah. Talked to him before. I said my first words to him were, "Why did you fire me? Why did you fire me, Derek?"
Ask David.
Well, he said, "Ask you."
Ah, because you're a lazy.
I didn't think I was lazy. That's quite unfair.
Oh, we had a few differences, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they were pretty hectic times. I mean, everyone got pretty uptight at times.
Yeah.
Just one of those things. I went to Oz, you stayed on, you looked after the sales side. David ran the radio station.
Yeah.
And then you sort of went down to Wellington. When you came back, you ended up as MD. How did that happen? I mean, how did you actually get back to Hauraki as the boss?
Well, I was tired of selling, and figured I'd finish up the oldest radio sales guy in the country, and that would be a bit sad. I was getting just fed up with selling, so I thought I'd like to get back into the heart of radio. And there was only one station I figured I'd really want to work for again. That was Hauraki. And when David went, the job was up for grabs, so I just applied, along with about 15 other people.
There wasn't any, you didn't have any preset ideas, notions from when you left, going back to it again?
No, not really. It was only in that last year or so before I actually got the job that I hankered to get back into programming and back into the sort of the mainstream of radio. I was getting bored, I think, selling. Now for about 7 years.
But you still really didn't get into programming as such, not directly involved in programming.
No, well, you can't really on a rock and roll station unless you. I don't think somebody of my age then can really effectively program a rock and roll station. So Graham Parsonage joined us very quickly. He was a PD there, and Gary Roberts, and then Mel Barlow. But I never programmed the station at all, just managed it.
But you still had ideas that you would have liked to have instituted.
Oh, I think I influenced a few ideas. You know, Dino Ferraris and $1 Million Grabs and some promotions on the marketing side, but not the music side so much. I had ideas, and I'd frequently get frustrated with programmers that wouldn't see it my way. But I always believe that if you hire a program director, you let the program director do it. Otherwise, why hire him? So it was straight management at Hauraki.
Then the under-publicised departure.
Then they fired. Yeah.
And you drove a cab.
Yeah.
Why did you drive a cab?
It's something I'd always wanted to do. I like driving. And I wanted to do something completely different to radio. I've been
to clear your head? Yeah,
I've been at 23, 24 years. I was sort of... well, I was also unemployed. I mean, I didn't have a job at that stage. I didn't do anything for a couple of months.
You had a buck or two, though.
Oh, not a hell of a lot.
Enough to buy a cab.
Enough to buy a cab, yeah. Had to sell a dame to do that. It was a bit sad. So I drove a cab, yeah. And then this guy Wadsworth phoned me and told me about Pacific.
And that's when you got your chance to do the things that you wanted to do at Hauraki and couldn't, or was frustrated.
Well, I had a program director when I arrived at Pacific too, Les Thompson, and then we had a disastrous survey. And I said to Les that we'd have to bring in Tim Bickerstaff and Jeff Sinclair and commercialise the station after midday to make some money, and prostitute it a bit to get the bucks in. And Les and I didn't agree on that either. And his principles were such he wanted to keep going the way he was going, and I thought that was a disastrous path, and that we'd go broke again, because the station was on 24 hours receivership when I got involved. And so he left very quickly, and I'd only been there a week as MD. And it was George that said to me, well, we're so close to going down the tubes now, you always wanted to be a programmer, you've always been frustrated, you might as well go and do it. If you're going to lose all our money, you might as well at least lose it after 3 months and say, well, I tried, I had fun. So that's how I got programming finally on a radio station. I've been doing it ever since, yeah. And happier than I've ever been.
Anything that stands out, you know, from the early days? I often think about how much we did, or certainly how much the original founders of Hauraki did in terms of getting private radio working in New Zealand after a 35-year absence. How do you feel that the industry is now in terms of what they owe to those people? Do they feel they owe anything or nothing at all? Do you feel they owe anything to you or to anyone that was involved in the early days?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose I think probably every private broadcaster owes something to the pirates of Hauraki, I would think. But I don't think you can sort of claim any dues for that. I think it's just an historic fact.
But I mean,
I think most would acknowledge it. Most would acknowledge it if you asked them. I don't think they probably consciously think about it very much.
Well, at times I feel a little bitter. I certainly feel a little bit, well, not a little bit, quite a bit bitter about the fact that there's a lot of money going into radio nowadays, and less in terms of, you know, creative input. Certainly
not a Pacific, mate.
No, okay. We've got that. But how do we get around this? I mean, is it a tribunal problem? Is it an industry problem? What?
Well, you know, it is a business. But I think there's a lot of creative ideas around the radio today, both on private and on the public side. Any radio station that's going to be hot, that's going to really perform in a competitive marketplace, is going to have to be loaded with good ideas, man. That's always been the way it is, you know. Are
there still the people in the industry?
Oh, hell yeah.
Are they coming through the industry now, being trained?
Yep, I'm sure there are. The courses they have in Christchurch are marvellous. They put about 40, 50 broadcasting students through, and I've been down to each one of them. And there's some great talent coming through. There's a bit of a hiatus, I think. I think we're a bit lean at the management level, probably in private radio, because it's a young industry. But that'll take care of itself. There's a lot of great
every new station that comes on air is dragging from the management side.
There's a lot of bright people in radio. A lot of young ones coming through. You know, always will be, mate. Always will be.
You'd never give it up. Radio.
Radio. Not for the next 12 months, no.
Don't give anything away, you bastard.
I'll give it up when I'm bored. You know me.
Thanks, Derek.
It's okay.
Ugly looking brute in.
Get on to the happy station. It's Radio Hauraki.